Hello everybody, how are we doing? Oh, sorry, I had a bit of a stretch. Well, happy Sunday everybody, happy Sunday. Hopefully you're all having a great evening. Hopefully you've had a good morning as well. Hopefully we've all come down or still happy with the result yesterday. Harvey's already in the chat, and less of that stuff, mate. Come on, mate. How are we anyway? You're right, Nick. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you, Harvey. Welcome into the chat. 7 o'clock. Well, we usually come live around about 6, between 6 and 7 anyway. So yeah, match reaction today. I was thinking of doing match reactions and everything a bit earlier, but it looks like some people on a Sunday, you know, some people might not get up early, you know. So yeah. Well, we're doing it now. Match reaction. How's everyone doing? Did everyone enjoy their day yesterday? Good result yesterday was. What else we got on there? Some other stuff as well. Result wise was really good, to be honest, yesterday with other teams. Next games are not until Boxing Day. Yeah, Stoke lost, which helped us a bit. So yeah, there was that. Southampton Coventry, that ended up in a big bust up, didn't it? That was quite funny. If anyone saw that. So yeah. Alright. I think we should just pretty much get into it, really. Oh god, here we go. Bloody hell. What the hell? What the hell? Bloody 6-7 shit. You're mental, honestly. I predicted 2-1 to us, lol. To be honest, I had said 1-1. I didn't expect it to be 4-1. 1-1 was what I thought. So yeah, I'd be honest, I didn't expect that result yesterday. You know, Marty wasn't happy, to be honest. You know, we kicked off the game pretty brilliant. We did. We kicked off the game pretty brilliant, so I'm happy with that. Anyone watched the bot? I'm guessing people watched that boxing game. Jake Paul. Yeah, Reese, how are you? I'm guessing people saw Jake Paul get knocked out. That was funny. That was hilarious. Jesus Christ, that dog come out of nowhere. Jeez. Right, anyway, let's get into it straight away. Right, how do we start this? Hopefully you're all good. Right, so 4-1 win yesterday at the Loftus Road. Goals from Sato, Kono, Dembele, and then Benge. Second half was pretty dead, to be honest. I did say I hope hope Julian doesn't slow the process down on the second half, but it seemed like he did. He went and made a sub with Jake Clark-Salter and Steve Cook coming on. But I don't think that was to do with slowing the pace down. I think that was more to do with making sure Jake Clark-Salter is fit enough and obviously make sure he doesn't get an injury. So yeah, there's that. Ryan says, I'm good, mate. Brilliant win yesterday. In theory, we should batter Pompey. Hopefully, fingers crossed. You never know what will happen on Boxing Day. But it's a great Christmas present we've just got with the Leicester finishing in 7th. Opportunity to improve, always. But yeah, Steve Cook came on for Jake Clark, which kind of quietened down the game a little bit. It wasn't the same. You know, we was having bits and bobs in the game where we had chances, but it wasn't amazing chances. But the first half was something that I've been waiting to see for a long time, because I know we have the players to do that. We have the players that can kill games at the start of the game, you know. And it's been a while since Preston's, well, in my opinion, Preston North End's home game was where we kind of went in and understood what Julian was about. So in my opinion, that game kind of resembles our first ever game of the season, but we didn't really recreate anything from there. You know, we actually finished our chances, which was brilliant for us. So 2 minutes into the game, obviously Sato scored. He did. It was actually kind of a fluky goal, in my opinion, where he was in the right place at the right time and it come off his head. It was actually great play by Dembele. Keita Dembele getting it into the box and then giving it to Mbenge to cross it in, and then took a little deflection off Burrell off his foot, and obviously Sato in the right place, right height, I would say is meant to be, heading it into the back of the net. So that made it 1-0. And then surprise goal scorer, Kone scored yesterday in the 29th minute. There was an opportunity beforehand, I should say, before we made it 2-0 for Sato to score another, where it was crossed in low, but cleared away off the line, and should have been a corner, but it wasn't gifted for a corner, unfortunately. So yeah, but then that's when Kone scored in the 29th minute. Great physicality for him in the box for what he's done, and that's what he's good at and what we're aware of, and just thumped it left foot in front of the keeper, just above him, but with power into the back of net to make it 2-0. We kept pushing into the game. Momentum was really good. Obviously, Leicester had their chances from after 2-0. After 1-0, I should say. But when the third goal went in with Dembele in the 33rd minute, it was a cracker of a goal, to be honest. I thought when Burrell touched that ball, it was a bad pass to him, but he touched it well. Dembele did, and hitting it literally lower corner for the goalkeeper not to get it was pretty decent. And then just before half time, 45 plus 3 minutes, my favorite player of the season so far at the moment, the one that I would honestly appreciate, you know, if he honestly stays, because he's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, best defender we've had for a while. Obviously, I'm not criticizing Jimmy Dunn or anything like that, but Mbenge has everything, and yeah, he got the ball on the wing, and I thought he crossed it, but it probably was a cross, but the power of it and the curve that went over the keeper into the back of net from a difficult angle, in my opinion, to score. But he just scored a cracker of a belter of a goal yesterday to make it 4-0. It was before half time, and yeah, that kind of finished it for me. I was like, cool, blow the final whistle now, man. Honestly, you know, we weren't, we didn't really have, it was quite even with ball possession with Leicester, which I was very surprised with. We actually gave it to them, but more attacking wise. Expected goals obviously were higher because obviously the attack that we presumed and did in the first half, which was brilliant, and what I want to see every game. You're not going to see it in away games, but I mean every home game. That's how I want to see QPR attack and react, because that's how we can do it. I've always had at the start of the season the belief that we have the potential to do it against any team at home. You know, we have the players, we have the coaching stuff, we have the you know, the club is run so great at the moment. This is how I want to see QPR play in the first half. It's by destroying teams like that, you know, and we can do it. We've proven it many times, but we just lose momentum so quickly when it comes down to letting goals in. You know, Ben Hamer was in goal yesterday, who had another good game. Wasn't really tested that well, but the first goal that for Thomas that went in was obviously a penalty. So yeah, I personally thought it was a penalty. He was going to give it anyway because of how high Field's hand was. But honestly, Ben Hamer, you know, didn't save the penalty, but he tried to get up as quick as possible to prevent it. But it was just unlucky. You know, the right player at the right time got into the box for the deflection. So yeah, it finished 4-1. And I would say there was other chances from us. You know, there was quite a few, you know, substitutions coming on like Poku and Smith, who did push it a bit more. Poku getting into the box, Smith getting into the box, Hayden was getting into the box in the second half, you know, and it was quite interesting. You know, we were stopping Leicester's attack really well with Fatawu and Mavadidi on the wings, who are, to me, some of the best wingers in the Championship, who we stopped. You know, Jordan Ayew wasn't his day completely because he was frustrated. He could have got sent off, but he didn't. But he was frustrated, and we played mind games with him, and he couldn't do nothing. You know, Divock Reed wasn't there yesterday, to be honest. James wasn't there. Skip wasn't there. You know, even the defense wasn't there. You know, it was really appalling. I've not seen Leicester be that bad in ages. So, you know, I think for what we did against Leicester, obviously knowing what Leicester were like, with obviously not having Marty last season for 2 seasons, it's you know, it's very impressive and very good to see that Julian is taking us in the right direction, and he has been since the start of the season. You know, assist wise, Dunn, Dembele, and I think that was it. Obviously, no, sorry, not Dembele. Burrell got 2 assists and Dunn got 1. So yeah, very interesting game, very exciting game, and I'm very happy with how we performed in our first half. Let's look at the comments. Hope just sub was just the rest of him. Hopefully it was. Jake Clark saw not just. I know you mean, mate. Don't worry, Nick. Ryan says, do you think Poku is close to getting a start? I think he has a lot of work to do, a lot of hard work, because Dembele is doing well, Sato's doing well. You know, I think, you know, with the thing with Poku is he's an exciting talent, a very young talent, still, in my opinion, and he's still got a lot to learn. You know, he's just gone from a lower league to, well, League One to Championship, so the transition obviously should be easy, but the problem is his injury was not great. You know, it's kind of set him off, you know, a little bit. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he's you know, he's working hard, but it's just down to when Julian thinks he's ready, you know, and that's it. But with Dembele performing at the moment, it's going to be hard. So yeah. Nick says, always said we have great wingers, but they need to be given the ball to run at people. Also to add, we are tall team with physicality. Like, I would say we have tall players for sure, you know, and we've been missing it at the back. And as everyone can see that, you know, when we transitioned from Jimmy Dunn moving from right back to centre back, it's helped us a lot in defence with preventing goals going in. You know, set pieces were a killer for us. I was worried about that yesterday with Leicester with set pieces, but we stopped them. You know, Jimmy Dunn and Cloxall, and then when Steve Cook came on, it changed the game. Varane was getting into the box, it killed the game. You know, Madsen, the box-to-box maestro, in my opinion, who's doing really well for QPR this season. You know, he's probably going to be player of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone might have their own opinion on that, but he's been the key to our basically our team this season. You know, he's the thing that we've built around. I think, you know, he's the main guy in the middle that is trying to not just create but defend as well at the same time. So, you know, it's been brilliant for us. You know, in the game yesterday proved what we can do. You know, we're a great team, but you know, when you demolish teams like Leicester, you know, I can't really say much. They're great players, but I just don't think Marty can fulfill in the Championship. I'll be honest. Marty has interesting tactics, but I haven't, like I said, at QPR, you know, look at the positions we was with Marty, and look what he's doing with Leicester. You know, he's doing a lot better than he was with us at Leicester. But I think it comes down to we needed to move on. You know, we needed to do something to move on from all of that. So attacking wise, I don't think Marty is a great attacking manager. You know, I think he is a great defensive manager, but attacking manager, I don't see it. You know, for me, Julian was the right person to bring in, and he's done the job yesterday. You know, he did what he you know, what everyone wanted him to do, and that was to show Marty Fuentes, what, you know, bye-bye, you know. So yeah, Nick says ideas on Ronnie Edwards not being even a sub for Southampton. So I can't comment on Ronnie Edwards yet because there's not 100% information on it. But what I can say is, for sure, they're going to be going for him in January. They should do. And if I'm not mistaken, if he's been dropped, for example, if he has been dropped yesterday, then I would tell you this right now. 1st of January, we'll probably announce him. We'll probably announce him on the 1st of January. I will not, you know, it might be one of them recreation things where last season, obviously, we brought him in 1st of January. This season, hopefully we sign him, not just loan him, sign him on the 1st of January. I don't know how much he's going to be worth. In my opinion, they only bought him for, what, 3 million, I think it was. The way he's performed for Southampton and performing that for QPR, I feel like it's a lot better to say he's he's cheaper than 3 million, in my opinion. You know, he's cheaper, but we do need him still. Even though Dunklock, Salter, Cook, all of these players are doing well, we still need him because we need someone for next season as well. You know, Cook's contract probably ends. Cook's contract ends this season probably. You know, Clark, so I don't know what's going to happen with him. Jimmy Dunn, if he keeps performing, he's going to be worth a lot of money, and he might, you know, I know he just signed a new contract, but teams might still come in for him, you know. So it's one of them things where Ronnie Edwards would be, in my opinion, a great signing still, you know. But there's still, in my opinion, there's still positions that we need to work on, you know. Kieran Morgan, for example, I think we should send him out on loan if he's not going to get first team. Collie, same thing. If he's not going to get first team, send him out on loan, you know. There's not conversations yet with what we want and what we're selling, but I feel like Seller's probably going to go and Davis is going to be brought in. And you know, he wants to bring some more players in 100%. You know, he knows the thing with Julian. I think he wants to bring youth into it, but the problem is the only youth at the moment that he can see that's performing is the ones that have probably just been brought in right now, Poku and Benge, you know, players like that. But for me, I don't think he likes Collie. I'll be honest. I don't think I think the playing style that Collie does, I think it's a bit different. So yeah, I don't know what to say on it. But as far as I'm concerned, let's not go over what we were talking about. Let's just stick with this. Ronnie Edwards, definitely, I agree to come in for sure. 1st of January, hopefully we hear that. The only rumour that's going around that I can say is the goalkeeper, you know, Patterson. We are interested in Sunderland keeper Patterson because Ben Hamer might be at the moment he's definitely leaving. But if he does sign another contract, then cool. But I think Julian personally, I think Julian wants a first team keeper. And I think he's looking to bring in a first team keeper and he wants Patterson. And the reason why I say that is because Patterson played in the Championship last season for Sunderland with a French manager. You know, and like when Julian came into QPR, he did say his first thing he did was have conversations with the Sunderland manager, you know, to see how it was. You know, so there's a bond there with the club. You know, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get him, you know. It's something that I would see happening, and I would be happy with it because I'm a big fan of that keeper. Patterson is a quality keeper, you know, and he's going to be worth a lot of money in the future if we sell him on, you know. And I know it's horrible to think like that, but at the end of the day, for me, I want my club to be up there in the Premier League fighting for you know, top 10, top 6, whatever it is. I don't want us to be a yo-yo club, you know. I want us to be that team that does well. So yeah, but right now, January signings, right now the only thing I can think of is them two players, Ronnie Edwards and Patterson. I don't know who else they're interested in, but it's probably gonna be hopefully young players coming in or young players going out on loan. So yeah, but we're kind of going off track. We'll get back onto the match reaction thing. So yeah, like I said, great result yesterday. Really chuffed with it. Player rating wise, as you can see right under there. So Ben Hamer got a 6.6. To be honest, all I can say is the reason why it was 6.6 is because he was not rarely used. You know, he wasn't busy. he wasn't busy enough to be great, you know. And Benge 8.1, to my opinion, he was the man of the match. You know, he actually showed a lot more better control and balance running on the attack, also scoring. You know, and Benge to me is my favorite player this season for QPR. He, you know, he brings that motivation. He's in my opinion, he's brought the club more with the fans. He's a character for the club, you know, and he's brilliant. You know, Jimmy Dunn, Clark Salter. Jimmy Dunn got 7.9, Clark Salter got 7. You know, brilliant game from both of them in the first half. You know, Davis 6.3. I'm not too sure why he got an orange rating, to be honest. I thought he did well. I thought he defended well. Physicality was brilliant. You know, he wasn't really attacking that much. He was more tucked in as a back, a complete back three when we was attacking. But he got a yellow card, so that's one thing that we got to be careful with. And Bengi on the right, I'm not going to lie, he's actually calmed down with the yellow cards. So maybe that was a factor of him moving over to the right. I'm not too sure. Sato and Dembele both got a 7.7, as well as Varane. Dembele got a goal. Obviously, it's good to see him on the pitch, you know, scoring goals. That's what we bought him for. Sato, same thing as well, even though it was a bit of a lucky goal. But I would like to see Sato drift in more like he did yesterday in the middle, or on the back of the post, which is really good. Madsen 7.4, always a positive rating from him, being our main man, our box-to-box guy, doing really well. Kone 7.7 as well. Great physicality showed. Great team spirit. Still disagree with the two up front. Like I said, look, Burrell got the assist but no goals. And Kone got the goal. I was, you know, bit surprised that he's still doing it, but I think we know he's going to stick with it. You know, there is some sort of tactic going on there between them two, whether it's goals or assists. But yeah, Burrell apparently got man of the match. 8.2, 2 assists. Burrell did brilliant yesterday. Even though he didn't score, he you know, chasing the ball, put heart. You know, he's our Jamie Mackie at the end of the day, and he plays for the badge. And I'm kind of glad that we got him. You know, Burrell is going to be a cracking player, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, you know, he stays with the club. You know, he's got a chance of international duty for Jamaica, but unfortunately, obviously, they didn't. I think they didn't make the fourth World Cup, but they're in the I think they're in the qualifiers at the moment. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Obviously, substitution wise, Steve Cook came on for clock, so at half time. Isaac Caden and Sandfield both came on the 75th minute to refresh obviously the midfield. Poku and Smith came on the 85th minute to change the attack up a little bit. Give them fresh legs. Was really good. You know, I think the tactics, the playing style yesterday, the layout, the formation, and everything with the players, brilliant for Julian yesterday. Absolutely brilliant. You know, I can't mock him whatsoever. He done a great job. You know, if we could play like that every week, please, it'd be much appreciated. If you could just go full attack in the first half and get them goals, I would love that. You know, we got Portsmouth on Boxing Day. Hopefully, you can do the same thing. So yeah, you know, it was a big sellout yesterday at Loftus Road. Obviously, a lot of Leicester fans at the start thinking it was going to win, but completely got demolished. So yeah, in the table wise, we sit 7th, I believe it is. Above Stoke City, minus 2 goals, 34 points. You know, 10 wins, 8 losses, 4 draws. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Still got a chance, you know, like Sunderland last season into the playoffs. And we can utilise the January transfer window, hopefully, and bring in some much more quality as well in helping us getting into that top 6. Like I said, top 10 is realistic. Top 6 at the moment is what we're looking like with the team that we are and how we're performing. So yeah, we'll get into the Portsmouth preview tomorrow probably, because obviously, well, tomorrow or Tuesday, one or the other. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that'll be the preview show for this week for Boxing Day. We will be live on Boxing Day, just to let you know, because we haven't got no work. So yeah, we will be live on Boxing Day for you guys doing the watch along. That'd be great. Let's look at the comments before we leave. Nick says, great work by Julian Stefan and the way he's managing the team, the way he comes across in explaining the way he wants us to play. Hope to see him adapt the three in midfield on away games and be successful. I'll be honest, looking at what his formations have been in the past with different clubs, I think he will not put out a three in midfield until he feels comfortable enough to do it. You know, I think the 4-3-3 doesn't work in the Championship. I'll be honest. I don't think 4-3-3 works in the Championship. Having three midfielders in the Championship is kind of a struggle, I think. I'm not too sure if it will work. I think I understand where he's coming from. It's either that, or it's either the fact he hasn't got players that he wants in that team to say, okay, we'll stick three in midfield. You know, I think right now 4-4-2, obviously with the strikers that he has, or 4-2-3-1, whatever it is. But the game changes constantly. You know, he changing the formation constantly in that game. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. But I think this season he's gonna stick with 4-4-2 on 4-2-3-1. So yeah. Ryan Reese says, hopefully we see some news on Ronnie soon, fingers crossed. You also said, I thought we looked very comfortable at the back and in the middle, which as we know normally doesn't happen. I agree. The centre backs, the defensive ability does not look great. Varane had a very great game yesterday compared to what he has had the last couple of games. I think, honestly, you know, our defense, we still need to improve it. But, you know, if we could play like yesterday, like we do every home game, I think we'll be fine for the season. You know, I know a lot of people hate certain players, but for me, I like Steve Cook, but I just think he makes too many mistakes sometimes. You know, I think he is a great player, but I think maybe the Championship is too much for him now, just since his injury. Last season, before the injury, he did really well. I really liked him at centre-back. You know, Liam Morrison obviously has been, I wouldn't say replaced. I like Liam Morrison. I think it was a great signing when we brought him in last season. He didn't really get the opportunities last season, but this season at the start he did really well. And I'll be honest, I thought identifying what the problem was just the same as what Julian said. Height-wise, there wasn't enough height in the box, in the back. But I think there's more to it as well. Maybe he sees Morrison as the person out of form compared to Steve Cook. Maybe because they're two different abilities. So, yeah, I don't know. I prefer Morrison to Steve Cook. But Steve Cook, you know, he did okay yesterday. He defended really well, but there's days where I will get nag about him a lot. So yeah, but it's all love at the end of the day. It's just because of my passion for QPR. So I'm not hating on players unless they actually do something like what Bossingwa did. But yeah, I think apart from that, every player at QPR at the moment is brilliant. You know, we still got to do a lot of work, but yeah, we're not far off it. I like everyone is thinking goalkeeper, centre back and right back could keep us up there. I think the Ronnie Edwards one, and obviously the key part is just, for me, is just, you know, centre back really is for me, but the goalkeeper one I can understand obviously now with obviously the contract ending for Ben Hamer. But I think realistically I would prefer Mbengue at the back and bringing in a right back if we're not going to play Adamson. But I also think maybe a midfielder, a creative midfielder, might be useful as well. So yeah, I would like to see a creative midfielder in there, but I'll be honest, I don't know if we're going to see it, you know. So yeah. But we're gonna leave it there for tonight. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I just want to say huge shout outs to everyone who tuned in yesterday. We killed it. We completely are killing the streams at the moment with the views and the subscribers and the likes and all of that. So much love from all of you guys. Much appreciated. I would say Merry Christmas, but I'm gonna say see you Tuesday for now, and then we'll wish you Merry Christmas on Tuesday, because obviously we'll still be doing one more video before Christmas happens. So yeah. Ryan says, I feel like a confident keeper and Ronnie are the final piece of the puzzle. Add them two in and we are top 6 side. I think we're a top 6 side already, Reese. I'll be honest, I think we're a top 6 side already. I have full confidence in Julian and that squad so far. So yeah. But we're going to leave it there. Hopefully you'll have a good finish to the weekend today. You do, and start the week off. I don't know if any of you have work or you've booked it off for the rest of the week before Christmas, or you're off anyway. But we'll be back on Tuesday for our preview show for Pompey. And apart from that, have a good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Peace, love, positivity.